championship that takes us all around the world. And the beauty of the electric powertrains, obviously, it allows us really to go to the hearts of the city. So we're racing right in the cities, in all these beautiful cities all around the world. And obviously, by that, we're also reaching new target groups. So it's slightly unconventional for a racing category. But I think the man to go into detail for that subject best is Alexander Sims, who's actually racing one of these cars.
Thanks, Rudy. So yeah, I mean, Formula E is a fairly new championship still. We're in season 5 at the moment. And something that they've really focused on is making everything different, which poses a lot of new challenges for myself as a driver and the teams. As everything is a street race in some amazing cities, we are restricted on the track time that we've got, and so we have practice, qualifying, Superpole and the race within, what have we got, like 7 or 8 hours from some 7:30 in the morning, and normally by about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock we're finished. So it's a really busy schedule, which pushes us hard to not have much time to really analyze things. The car itself is obviously electric, which is only one thing that's different. The tyres themselves are all-weather tyres, so we drive them in the dry and the wet, which every other motor racing series in the world pretty much has slick tyres and wet tyres. It reduces the amount of tyres that we're travelling around the world with, and we're set with just 2 sets per weekend. So on the race weekend itself, we've got pretty much two main focuses. One is single lap performance for qualifying, where we're driving with 250 kilowatts of power. And then after qualifying, our focus shifts a little bit more to efficiency. And that's really where we've shown this year that the BMW engineers have come to their strength, I guess, in that our energy management in the race situation seems to be somewhat better than most other teams. And in doing in focusing on efficiency, you generally reduce your top speeds slightly, because that's the best way to save energy but not lose too much lap time, and then focus on reducing the amount of mechanical braking that you're using and shifting more towards regenerative braking to charge the battery under deceleration. And just to give you an idea, between the two sort of modes that we drive, in qualifying, when we're driving flat out and not thinking about efficiency, the brakes are operating at normally around 650, 700 degrees Celsius. But then in the race, we reduce the amount that we're braking so much that they're down at 200, 250 degrees. And so that shows how much energy that we're not putting into the braking system. So yeah, that's a little short overview about Formula E itself from my side.
So now that you're all Formula E experts, let's have a look around the car, what we have done to the car. As Alex already mentioned, the car is standardized for a good reason, so we don't want to spend money in this championship on like aerodynamics development. So it's really focused on powertrain development, and it starts round about here, where we have the cooling for the powertrain, which is also very helpful and useful to make an efficient powertrain. And then round about here is the rear structure. Obviously a very lightweight carbon structure where we also have lots of expertise. The rear structure is then also housing the rear suspension, and in the heart of the rear structure is the heart of the car, which is the powertrain. Just to give you a glimpse of how that works. Obviously in motorsport we're used to optimizing everything, so we do lots of simulations to figure out the sensitivities for various parameters like efficiency versus weight, etc, etc, etc. And the beauty of this project here is that we could really wish for powertrain, and because of the enormous resource we have at BMW and the 5th generation we're doing now in electric powertrains, all this experience, we can really wish for a powertrain. And the beauty in this project is we're using that very resource to make that powertrain. So Andreas, tell us about it.
Yes, I think that's a little bit unique. Thanks to Rudy, we had the opportunity also in the series development department, because we have a very big prototype shop and we have the resources. So we said it makes no sense that we build it up in the motorsport, so we do it in the engineers, with the normal engineers. So engineers in my department, in the pre-development, are also developing this drivetrain. This is great fun for them, because it's exciting to see every 2 weeks on the racetrack. And this is an optimized motor where we more or less tested to Rudy's requirement. Our new technologies, we have new semiconductors in, which are currently too expensive to produce in mass production, but we're expecting or bringing the costs down. Lightweight optimized, and also new materials on the metal sheets for the electric motor. And I think the special thing is when we started the project, we settled up it on the series software from the Gen 3 So from the i3 software, we also use really the same software in the control unit for the i3 and the software Baukosten as for the Formula E car. Gives us a lot of advantage. We're not starting for new, and also we learn something about the torque control requirements stronger in the cars. They go back in the series development, and also about the energy consumption. So once night, this faster switching technology becomes important to calculate something. So and if you now, this flows back in the series, so if you now buy a new i3, you already have part of this software inside the car. So only a small part, but existing. And yes, I think Rudi, as you already explained a little bit about the interaction from how to come to the optimum.
Yeah, it's really a pleasure. What you really need to imagine, Andreas just pointed it out. This is not just just a little lab where we're just trying to bunch up an electric motor. This is like a development plant. So with all the simulations that we do, effectively, what these guys can do is overnight, with our requirements, generate virtual 20 or 30 different electric motors where we can effectively then choose from and really tailor-made this electric motor for the powertrain. There's lots of other aspects. I don't want to bore you with the details like potting and bondaging and whatever, where we have pure synergies and also build up a lot of expertise. But I think, Andreas, it's best if we actually have a look at these items and really visualize how we evolve the technology.
So follow me a little bit to the opposite side. So here are some hardware examples that you can see from the car. The main focus on the electromobility cost down to mass production, that you get a refresh of what's technically possible. This, for example, is a current i3 motor. It's technology of 2030, 120, built in 2013. We produced this in our plants in Landshut. It has approximately 40 kilogram, 125 kilowatt. This is the actual Formula E machine, which is used. It has 250 kilowatt, of course, from a regulation limited, and approximately half the weight from this one. So the power density increased by factor 4 and also reduced volume. This is the power electronic on this side. We use materials carbon technology. We also use it in the series manufacturing for the i3, for example. And to get this example, it looks, this is the actual powertrain which is launched with the iX3, so-called 5th generation. It looks a little bit bigger from outside, so it's not smaller, but the electric motor is only this part. It's an intermediate step. What is difference is a little bit on the series manufacturer. We are also looking about avoiding errors. So this is a special technology. We will not have permanent magnet, but it's still a synchronized machine with very high efficiency. And what makes it bigger is simply the gearbox added, which is of course a much more higher weight because a car is heavy, it's not a single seater, so we plan it up to the X5 with also a lot of trailer weight to produce, and the power electronic on top and the oil cooling. And so this is then purely focused now, what we did with the 5th generation, massively cost reduction. Let's make also now a plant, for example, in Landshut where we do the combustion engine, and to see what is technically possible with the generation. We have this special car introduced today. This is a standard 5